House Republicans are looking for any kind of excuse to cut billions of dollars from the IRS in order to protect their wealthy donors. And their newest excuse is, well, we've got to fund Israel and their war. Now, on Monday, House Republicans unveiled a plan to cut about $14 billion from the IRS in order to hand it off to Israel. Now, look, Biden's already promised a gigantic aid package for both Ukraine and the Israeli military. A lot of that money, of course, is going to go back into our defense contractors in the form of, weapons, supplies to those two different countries. And so that $14.3 billion figure would be cut from efforts, and this is the Republican plan, to go after wealthy tax cheats, as well as, of course, building out a free digital tax filing system to compete with these private tax prep firms that cost a lot to use unnecessarily. And so they've been lobbying for any way to get rid of it. And of course, Republicans are like, oh, yeah, no, just give me the money. Just give me the money. Yeah, I'll do whatever you want, of course. And so now, look, the House GOP, they're marketing this as offsets for the aid to Israel. So the cutting of the IRS. In fact, Johnson told Fox's Kayleigh McEnany, we're going to have to pay for it. We're just not going to print money and send it overseas, arguing that standing with the innocent in Israel is more aligned with the national interest than IRS agents. So I beg to differ on that one. For one, as I mentioned before, this money is going to go to buying weapons from U.S. defense contractors, who will then, obviously, the weapons, the arms that they produce and send over to the Israeli military will be used against the people in Gaza. Many of them, the majority of them, probably not going to be Hamas. So far, 8,000 civilians have been estimated to have been killed in Gaza as a result of the Israeli strikes. Nearly half of them, again, children, around 3,300 children have been killed in this conflict. Again, Palestinian children for the most part. So, I mean, that's what's going on here. But this plan hits both the Republican goals: fund defense contractors to kill Muslims, because of course, and cut the IRS while they're at it. So for them, it's perfect. Perfect. Now, the Republicans also lied about the nature of the plan, saying that, since it's an offset, we're going to be saving money. Yes, we have to gut the IRS and send the money to Israel. That'll save us money, but actually won't. These cuts would actually add to the deficit. So if you actually care about that, it adds to the deficit. How does it add to the deficit? Well, it deprives the agency of resources to collect taxes from rich tax dodgers. So, yes, it turns out you have to fund the IRS so that they have the resources to go after tax cheats. Who knew? In fact, Mark Goldmine, of the Conservative Center for a Responsible Federal Budget, not a source that I would normally go to, but he says every $1 you cut IRS funding will lose about $2 of revenue. So, there's that. He says this means that the bill would add about $30 billion to the deficit. Now, the IRS earlier this month said that it has collected about $160 million in back taxes from millionaires just this year, thanks to the new enforcement measures provided under the Inflation Reduction Act. So it's not the 87,000 whatever IRS agents that are coming after you as the common Republican talking point. They're coming after. No, they're going after the rich who are not paying their taxes. That's why they're going after the rich. When they have less resources, they go after poor people because it's easier. They don't have an army of tax lawyers to be able to, fight against audits and delay and things like that. So they go for the lower hanging fruit. But if you actually have them well funded and have a purpose, a mission, hey, go after the tax cheats who are actually costing us a lot of money, billions of dollars in unpaid taxes from these people, and these wealthy people and corporations as well. Yes, go after them. Go after them. Because that will save us money. That will, lead to more funding of the government. And without having to raise taxes for average people. Now, the agency also, recently launched an initiative aimed at cracking down on tax dodging by large corporations, Republicans. They see this plan from the Biden administration. They go, no.
Can't let that happen.
How dare they trying to make our donors pay their taxes, what they owe? No, can't have it. Can't have it. Now, it's important to note that this push to approve the new military funding will, of course, go through. Yeah. I'm not saying the Republican tax, got the IRS thing will go through. No, that won't. It will likely go through without any cuts because, of course, we're going to give more money to Israel. And that comes as there have been warnings that our government is complicit in funding war crimes against Palestinians in Gaza. I mean, what do you think they're using the money for? They're using the money for bombs, ammunition, artillery. Israel's bombing campaign has displaced more than 1 million Gazans and has destroyed or damaged roughly 40% of the territory's housing and have pushed their healthcare system to the brink of total collapse. It is an absolute humanitarian disaster. The Biden administration says, well, some of our funding is going to go to humanitarian stuff. So on the one hand, we're supplying Israel with the money to buy weapons from our weapons manufacturers, and on the other hand, sending aid supplies to the people we just, we gave money to the people that are bombing them. And so, I mean, I don't know, it's bizarre. It's bizarre. The National Priorities Project cautioned in response to Biden's supplemental funding request that more military aid to Israel will mean more deaths. And it's true. There has to be a ceasefire. There has to be. The group said, in the face of massive suffering in Gaza and disregard for international law by the Israeli government, the U.S. must not provide additional military aid or weapons that will cause more deaths. Instead, the U.S. should use its considerable diplomatic strength to call for an immediate ceasefire. And I couldn't agree more. I think that would be the moral position, the good position. But the defense contractors, they know likey. Look, defense contractors, if Republicans got their way, which in this case they won't, but, if there were a Republican majority in the Senate, if there were a Republican president, they would absolutely get their way. The defense contractors would win out twice. You would have Israel still getting the money, of course, and then the IRS would get cut, and rich people, these same corporations, would be able to cheat on their taxes because who's going to go after them? They would keep even more of their money. It'd be a win-win for them. Look, they do this, they get away with this because they own our politicians. Okay? These defense contractors win no matter what because our system is a slave to the military-industrial complex. And the reason, again, is because they pay our politicians, they own our politicians, and they will continue to keep funding more wars instead of working towards peace because, let's be honest, peace just ain't that profitable.